So I think a lot of the times it goes back to just as women, us knowing that we have that we don't want to get into the masculine, because I know for me, and that's just speaking for me, that if I overwork and if I know, yes, okay, whatever, I'm bringing in the money, but my household is being taken care of, and he's a great man and everything. I just know that with me sometimes, and maybe it's not a physical, which because you can make a lot of money and not work hard. But for me, I'm a hairstylist, so it's like I've been in a situation where I'm working so hard and I'm on my feet, and yes, home is being taken care of or whatever. But I fell into a situation to where I was in my masculine more, as far as like I'm so tired, I can't be soft the way he wants me to be, and all those things.
So there was some resentment?
Not really resentment. I think because I was younger, I just didn't really understand it, and I think he didn't understand why I couldn't be this. I couldn't be like his, by the end of the day. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I wanted to play those roles at home, but because I worked so hard, it's like I'm so tired. He wants this excitement. He wants this time, this pleasure time, or whatever it may be, and it's like I'm exhausted.
Welcome everyone to another episode of the Student to Life podcast. We're in our second semester where we're talking about love and relationships. So Shan couldn't wait to start this semester. But today we have some very special guests. Returning, we have Mr. Christopher Miller. Y'all saw him on the first semester.
Yes.
All the stuff with chiropractic stuff and healthy side of life. And then we have Mike. This is another special guest that we have today. But before we go any further, guys, please remember, support the channel and you can like, share, subscribe, share with a friend. We're not trying to do gossip, stuff like that to get clickbait. We're just trying to put information out there to help. So this is the Student to Life podcast where learning and unlearning has no limits. So I'm Stretch and here with my co-host,
Shan.
All right, so Shan, I want you to start off with the first question.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Remember that we are all about learning and unlearning, and there's no limits to it. So we are going to get into the juice today. So, hello there, gentlemen.
Hello.
So we're speaking today all about marriage, and just the ins and outs, the good and bads, the up and downs, right?
Yeah.
And we wanted to get you guys' perspective. So our first question is pretty much, did you guys want to get married? What made you get married? Was it a childhood thing for you, or you guys just fell into marriage? How did that go about?
For me, it was more the family I was raised and brought up in. Grandmother, great grandmother, I knew, and they all stayed married for 40, 50 years. So
Nice.
when it came time for me, I waited until I found my wife.
Okay.
And I've been married twice, so this is my second time.
Yes.
And now this is the permanent one.
Okay.
But I like being married
Yes.
because there's always good in it, and you get children from that. So
Yes, and I know your wife personally. Shout out to Tyra. She's my amazing client, and
and my
y'all
son.
got a super and his son is also my client. Y'all have a super dope dynamic that I'm inspired by.
Thank you. We really try.
Yes. So,
I have the similar story as Mike. I come from a family of my parents are married, going on almost 40 years now. So everyone in my family just kind of used to being married. So I knew from an early age that I wanted to have a good structure of family to bring kids up in and to experience that bond. So I would say that did I plan on getting married? I didn't wake up and say today's the day.
yeah.
But it was always in the background. Just knew that, growing up, that was part of life.
I mean, for me personally, looking up to you guys, I always go to weddings and be like, I feel sorry for you. But then you talk to people that's happy in their marriages and their relationships, and you're like, I might want that one day, But what one thing that sparked that interest when you met that woman and say, all right, I'm gonna make her my wife. Right? You meet somebody, you date them, but you don't want to move it past that. You know? So what made you see that woman and be like, that's gonna be my wife?
Okay. First and foremost, marriage is beautiful done with the right person.
Right.
Right? So it's not like a walk in the park, right? It's not something like a fairy tale. I don't think. You know what I mean? So it's just something that is a beautiful connection once you have the right person.
Right.
So as far as I'm concerned, like, you know, dating, going through college, going through high school, as a professional, you don't necessarily go into dating as like thinking about marriage. But as you get older, as you get wiser, you start to realize that there are certain characteristics that pique your interest or catch your attention. Some may be called red flags, some may be called green flags, whatever it may be. And as you go along the dating scene, you start to go through, which I think dating is very important, personally. You start to go through and start to realize who you're compatible with and what characteristics, traits that you find attractive and amazing. So, you know.
How about you?
That was pretty good. Yeah, I agree. Totally agree with that because I think it's more. I believe in meeting your best friend, right? And people say soulmate, and I think to me that go hand in hand. Your best friend, soulmate, and that's what I found is we like the same. We have the same interests. You know, we love to travel. You know, we love. And then you have those things that are missing pieces in a relationship in your own personal self. I'm a family man. My wife is she has a lot of best friends, but not much family. So it was kind of a cohesiveness, like a puzzle piece that fit. And we learned from each other. And that really set it off to me like, wow, you know, this is the person that can really complete me. And I think that's important is finding someone who completes you in every way.
Last week, the women kind of, they said to me they didn't know about this. But I'm in my head, I'm like, you can't know about this because you're not a man.
Right.
So as a man, I said to them, sometimes we know once we see that woman that she is a potential wife. Like she has the abilities that I'm looking for in a woman to become a wife. We know maybe 2 or 3 times of talking to them or seeing them, like we know this. Our list as men, I think, we don't have that much on our list. Okay. Women have.
I don't know. Speak for yourself. Now.
What I'm saying, for most majority men, our list is simple. Yeah. You meet, you look a certain way, you act a certain way, you talk a certain way. Most of us, simple. Most people, it's complex. Like you said, you're probably a little bit different. But I would say most men I've talked to will see a woman and be like, oh, she got the look, she got the walk, the talk, whatever it is that you're looking for. You know what I'm saying? So I want you guys to expound on that.
Again, for me, I think dating is important. And I enjoy myself on the dating scene as far as just getting to know different people and different backgrounds. I went to school in Tallahassee. Then I lived in Atlanta for a while, which is like the Black Mecca, and from South Florida, right? So I met a cross section of women that I understood what I was kind of looking for. But speaking of my wife, I knew within the first couple of conversations that okay, this is definitely potentially a wife, and to get my mind right? Because you don't want to fumble the bag, right? So it's like, but I also had a list. I can't say that it's, and I think that's certain men problem, or I won't say problem or something. It's something that men need to work on because once the beauty fades,
my list
money
is very long. It's super long.
You know what I mean? Baddie is not always going to be the baddie when they wake up in the morning sometimes. So it's like, you know, I think that people need to men need to have a concise list of what they're looking for.
I think the list, to me, once you find that person, sometimes that list just seems to go out the door.
That's what I was thinking.
It just, as soon as you see that person, you're like, you know, she got to have a nice job, this, that, and you go through this list, and all of a sudden you go to a random party or a random event, and you see this woman, and now she's, boom, it just clicks. The communication, the conversation, the eye contact, the way she walks, the way she, you know, sits next to you, just the energy you get,
the aura, the
everything you get, and it's boom, it's you're like, this is that person,
right?
This is that person.
But sometimes you know once you come in contact, you know that energy matches, especially if you know how to feel and how to recognize energy. You know sometimes when your energy matches with somebody, but a lot of times you get trick because you then feel that energy with that person in the beginning, and then you really get to know the person, and then you're like, oh no, this ain't.
Everyone sends their representative to the
Exactly.
dating.
Yeah.
I would say this, and this was for Shan. I always talk to my boys about it. You know, men marry for for love and attraction. Women marry for stability and support and love. You know what I mean? So, like you said, sometimes we'll get blinded. But do you agree with that, or do you?
I do. I
Okay.
totally agree with that. I know I'm not married, but I definitely, speaking with other women, other married women definitely spoke about that part and how important it is to have that security, have the stability, have the protection. And we just want to, and once that's naturally there, it's like we just want to give everything to you for just providing that for us. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
So the next question we're gonna throw out there. So do you have
rapid fire questions?
I see that, right?
But this one, I really want to know because, like I said, the women gave different answers.
Okay.
So
I'm glad there's a mic sitting.
Yeah, I'm here. I got your back.
I was ready to compete.
Right.
What? Nah.
So there's women, especially if you're dating at an older age, they'll say, hey, they have a clock. You know, they have a certain amount of time before you pop that question. For you guys, what was that time frame? Like, what do you think is a suitable time frame, and what was your time frame from dating to proposing?
Oh, that's two different questions.
I was about to say.
Hold on. The first question is this.
Yeah, that's two different questions.
What do you think is a suitable time from dating to proposing? Like a normal time, I would say.
Well, what was you guys' time? Let's just say it that way. Because everyone is different. Everyone's different.
Yeah.
All right, so I pretty much knew I was gonna marry my wife within like 3 months. So
Wow.
we proposed and got married within like almost a year and a half, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it wasn't long. It wasn't long at all.
Did you tell her that? Like within that?
No.
When did you say? Did you say I love you first?
No, not even that. It's just that, to be honest, and it's an embarrassing conversation. But, like I knew, so I was more so like I understand that I was more so worried that I would fumble the bag, or I didn't want to, bring, I won't say past baggage, but just like, all right, this one is a little different than the other one. So I ain't met this one before. You know what I mean? So it's like you said, sometimes when you meet that one, it's like, oh. She's a little different from the Miami, the regular. Oh, okay, let's get it right. Like,
Yeah.
So, but the question I thought you were gonna lead up to was, when women say their the clock is ticking, I think that guys,
having children.
but I think that guys sometimes need that time to develop and mature before they get married too. So I think guys have a little window of development as well. You know what I mean? So that's where I thought you were going with that.
I mean, as a younger guy, I think.
You still young?
Of course, I'm still young. Hey, man, come on. But as a younger guy, I think most young men need, like most of us as Black men don't have father figure. Like we're gonna keep it real. Like most of us don't have that. I have that. So I had certain experiences growing up in a household with both parents. You know what I'm saying? A lot of guys don't have that. So a woman would pick up on a lot of those things from learning from other people's relationships and stuff like that. We as men, it's hard for us to even sit down and say, I idolize them. We want the experience from our parents or our father. Like if I'm growing up with my mom cannot teach me how to be a man. You know what I'm saying? Right. So most households have a mother figure, not a father figure. But as for you, Mike.
That question is the same. Is what happened with me. We got married a year after we met, and I proposed literally like 6 months after we met. Right. And it was just one of those things that I knew was going to happen. It was. I didn't wake up the next morning and say, you know what, I'm going to marry her. Or I didn't meet her and say, okay, I'm going to marry her. Right. It was just like no one said anything. My parents, my family, no one knew, and I just brought this woman to my family, and they were like, oh, wow, you're getting married. I said, yeah. And the same thing with her friends. So it's. I don't think there's no internal clock for men. I think it's more when we want to do it, we want to do it. And I think that's where a lot of the, I'm going to say it, women have a hard time understanding is that the more you push a man, chances are he's not going to do it.
I think so too. Especially when you give a man an ultimatum.
Ultimatum.
I think that's.
I said it. You know, but yeah, that's you're right.
I think she said it last week too.
Yeah.
I shouldn't give a man an ultimatum.
Yeah.
That's
force him into that.
It's like a combative. It's like you're being combative.
I think that.
Go ahead.
PC, but I think that if a woman is in the thinks that she's in the point in her life that she wants to get married, she has to be working on like herself and being ready to accept this man that's gonna be coming in. So, like if you're forcing a man to like propose, one, he doesn't see you as that person, or two, you're not ready. You're yourself is not even ready because you kind of overstepping that boundary that you know what I'm saying.
You're
so
right.
it's like,
especially if we're not at a place financially that we're trying to get to, because we're trying to be providers. So if I feel like I can't provide the right home or the right situation, I'm not gonna want to jump into getting married.
Yeah.
So now, did you guys have that conversation when you guys was in the dating phase, like as far as what's like the end goal? What is it that you guys want, like within the beginning of the dating phase?
no.
Wow.
I think it's timing too, because men have their like dating phase, right? And it is culturally acceptable for a man to date a lot of women. So it's like, I think it's timing, because you have to meet that person at the right time where you're in the right position, the right mindset as well.
Right.
So I don't want to say destiny, but like it has to be a good timing.
Faith,
You know what I mean? Because, and then men gotta, and I don't want to bash women, because men have to be honest with themselves too. Because like if you're dating these certain type of women and getting this certain type of result every single time, then you have to think, okay, either my list is a little off and I have to switch it up, or maybe me myself is not ready to take on the responsibility of a wife. So I gotta get right on certain things too. You know, so I think I don't want to put all the onus on the woman, because it's not all on the woman.
To me, it's more. I felt it when comfort came. It was more like, like I said, I go back to the best friend thing. If I can go and hang out with the guys and then come back and tell her about my day, and she laughed, she likes sports. We go all through these things that we got comfortable doing, watching, the Super Bowl and doing this, and like, wow, you know what? I like this. This is something I want. And then all of a sudden it just clicks. Yeah. And then you don't even realize you're doing it, but next thing you know, you're proposing, and next thing you know, you're getting married.
And so you said that you didn't talk to anyone about it. You just was like, I'm just gonna get up and do it.
Just did it.
So you just like went to the ring shop and
off the whim.
Just did it. I was like,
I'm gonna do it.
she's not really a jewelry person.
Yeah.
So I was like, I know she didn't want have this flamboyant huge ring. I mean, not like I couldn't afford it, but I just knew she wouldn't want to waste that. She was like, just spend it on a vacation somewhere. Okay.
That's tired.
Got her the ring, boom, and then next thing I know, we were married. And a year later, we had a kid. So it's like stair step. It just, when things are right, it lines up right. Things just automatically happen.
So in the dating stage, right? If you're dating somebody and you realize they make more money than you, is that a problem?
I have this conversation with all my homeboys. To me, no.
Right. To
No.
me, no, you
But to be honest, 90% of my homeboys have a problem if their woman makes more money than them, which I totally don't understand, because masculinity doesn't come from money, even though in today's society it does. But it also shows you that a lot of women throw money in men's faces, so they're scorned from their experiences of like,
exactly.
You can't do this, so did you pay for that? And like,
throw it back in the face.
I couldn't even imagine my wife saying that to me. Did you pay for this? Do you have something to say about this?
Wow.
It's like, what?
That's harsh.
Like, no, but
that's
common.
That's common. Yes.
That's common vernacular between a lot of women these days. Like, did you pay for this? Oh,
they hurt your
okay.
ego
Well,
over there.
you don't have to talk about this
they don't even
or
realize they're doing it
whatever.
It's like,
wow.
Or, babe, we might cut back. Well, my money, I could do what I.
Okay.
Wow.
But
Point taken, you know what I mean?
Wow,
So he's like, dang, why he ain't proposing to me? He's like, because you're not letting him lead. Or maybe he's not in the position to lead, but you're leading with your money.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like 90% of the guys I know have an issue with it.
What about you?
I do not.
Okay.
I stay.
I don't, but my wife is
Hey,
making
bring
more
that
money.
million.
I
Bring that
bring it in.
million.
It's one household. That's how I look
Yeah.
at it. My wife believes that. So
I think it all depends on the woman that you're dealing with. Because if you're dealing with somebody who's going to try to hurt your ego every chance they get, you might not want to go into that situation.
that money thing is a
and
way to
also,
do it.
like having a Caribbean background, my family's from Jamaica. When they migrated, my mother came up with a nursing degree.
Mm-hmm.
So she came up with a nursing degree, was able to work, make a lot of money. Well, back then a lot of money, right?
Right.
And my father was working in banking at the time in Jamaica, came up and had to transition to like more of like hard labor type jobs, less money. I personally never seen my mom disrespect my dad when it comes to any kind of finances in the house. And then as I got older, I realized, oh, mom was making money, but my dad was making money, but his money was more like liquid, right?
Right.
So I never seen that. So when I experienced that in the dating scene, I'm like, oh, they do that. That's
Yeah, I had one experience.
you know,
where-
so it's
No,
like,
you're right.
whoa.
Well, I had one experience where the girl came, like she came to visit me at my house, and she was like, "Oh, you live with your parents?" I'm like, "I don't live with my parents. We live together.
Right.
You know, we moved here together. We've been living together. We came up together and everything. So you can't sit over there and judge me. You don't even know my life, but you're judging me based on me and my parents living together." You know what I'm saying? And that to me is a turnoff. Like right there, the conversation
I
is done.
remember females in Atlanta used to say, "Oh, I can't date you because you have a roommate," and then I used to break it down to them like that. Culturally, every other culture is okay with getting married and getting engaged, and then moving in together and starting a life together.
Right.
Whereas our culture sometimes dictate, well, you need to show me that you have your own apartment. You need to have this. You need to have that. You need to have that. And then now you set the bar so high that you yourself put yourself out of the range. Because if I had that, I wouldn't be dating you. You feel me? So it's like,
You're knocking yourself out.
yeah. So it's like, I think that again, if you're looking to get married, man or woman, you gotta like start self-assessing.
I agree.
And saying like, yo, okay, I've been dating and this is not happening. What am I? And sometimes it might not be your fault, it might be time, but it's like, yeah.
I think for a lot of women, when it's a situation where the woman makes more money than the man, a lot of the times it's a fear that the man won't have certain motivation to have that drive to bring in more income. And a lot of people, and then there's a lot of men that they get complacent and they get used to it. Absolutely. And there's no growth in the relationship. There's no business plan. There's no, well, my wife and we desire this, so I have to work towards it. And I think it happens to a lot of women, and it kind of scares them from it. And that's why I tell people, a lot of women, like, you can't use a certain relationship's trauma and bring it into the next. And you kind of have to have a leveled mindset when it comes to it and an understanding. And I know for me, in particular, I've been in a situation where I was making more money, but my person was taking care of the house and doing what he had to do, and he was working as well, you know. And we were able to start working together, and he started making a great amount of money. So it's all about, I think, for women, is they just have to look at, when they look at that man, that he has that drive to push harder. Because I think the problem is just that trauma of like dating someone that just was complacent, and they're like, you need to, you know, make more money. So like, even for you, Stretch, I think a lot of times with women, when they see that, you know, that situation with a man living with their parents after a certain age, they have that fear, okay, there's no security here for me. And a lot of women, they don't know how to portray, to relay that over in a more healthier way than just saying it as in, like, you know, in a disrespectful type of way. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think it's just that conversation. And if you meet a guy, I think a lot of the times, if you meet a guy that is in that situation, you shouldn't bash him for it. If that's just not what you want, then just move on.
Exactly.
You know.
And I think that leads into the next question.
Hold on, let me
Go ahead.
respond. Because I have these conversations all the time, so I'm glad you brought it.
Yeah.
But all right, so let me ask you this then. Say you do meet a man, or not you personally, but like a female meets a man. She's well into the six figures. She's doing her thing. He's employed, He is holding down you emotionally, physically. If you have kids, he's a part of the kids' lifestyle. He comes home every day. He's not spending his money frivolously on women or gambling or those type of things. When do you say, okay, it's not about the money though? It's not about, like, you could be the power woman and he could be the supporting cast that's lifting you up behind the scenes. And a lot of people want that power couple, social media. Like, if I'm killing it, if I'm making 100,000, you making 100,000. When does it become like, I'm happy, he's a good person, he's taking care of me, and that's okay? Like, when does that?
So I think a lot of the times it goes back to just, as women, us knowing that we have that, we don't want to get into the masculine, because I know for me, and that's just speaking for me, that if I overwork, and if I know, yes, okay, whatever, I'm bringing in the money, but my household is being taken care of, and he's a great man and everything, I just know that with me sometimes, and maybe it's not a physical, because you can make a lot of money and not work hard. But for me, I'm a hairstylist, so it's like I've been in a situation where I'm working so hard and I'm on my feet, and yes, home is being taken care of or whatever. But I fell into a situation to where I was in my masculine more, as far as like, I'm so tired, I can't be soft the way he wants me to be, and all those things.
So there was some resentment?
Not really resentment. I think because I was younger, I just didn't really understand it, and I think he didn't understand why I couldn't be this. I couldn't be like his, by the end of the day. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't. I wanted to play those roles at home, but because I worked so hard, it's like I'm so tired. Okay. He wants this excitement. He wants this time, this pleasure time, or whatever it may be, and it's like I'm exhausted. So I think, even though, yes, I think it trickles down to like, okay, I'm kind of in my masculine and I don't want to be there. I think that happens to a lot of women, and they want to be more in their feminine. They want to know that I don't have to work as hard, because I have the role of working hard and helping to pay bills, but I also have the role of sometimes being a mom, and I have the role of having to be, your play bunny or whatever it may be.
I get it. And I always say to them, like, and that's what they kind of say to me.
Yeah.
But I always say, like, what's more important? Like, all right, do you want to go back into your femininity and then not travel as much and still be happy, but now you still want to take those trips, or you still want this type of lifestyle? But is there like a balance? Because
some women do
in
find
my
a balance.
profession, as a chiro, as a doctor, I meet attorneys, I meet orthos, you name it. These I don't want to say high level, but like high income females, and I'm like, it's okay, bro. Date a guy who's a plumber. Like, not no disrespect to plumbers, but like, he'll hold you down, and he'll be a good man to you, and you'll live happy ever after. Yeah. Because how many other like high value men are there out there? That's, you know what I'm saying?
Right. And I think a lot of the times too, we will see that in those instances where the man is making less, and then there comes a time where he starts to make more, and there's now infidelity in the marriage, because now his ego sets in and all this stuff. So I think a lot of women they have that fear of like, this can happen, and I don't know if I want to take on this. I don't know if I want to take it on. It's one of them things, like, facts. It's fair, It's you have to have a lot of faith to trust that it's going to work.
I'm okay. So I'm an old school, because I got married when I was 35 and 36, second time. So I'm 51 right now. So when I hear, being feminine and being masculine, and I look at relationship, the minute you throw those two things in a relationship, it kind of throws everything off of balance. Because in our mind, we think man masculine, and then we think women is feminine. And if women start to, and men both start to, isolate those two departments, then when someone doesn't fit that role that you think, that's when you get that, it's kind of like a little animosity toward that person. Like, why why you can't do this better? Why you can't do that? Or the husband come home, he's like, I'm making all this money, why don't you clean that? Or why? And then the woman don't want to hear that. Just like a man doesn't want to hear why you ain't getting your money or whatever. So I think what's happening is that we're kind of shifting we're morphing wrong into a relationship. We're morphing more of somebody has to be here. I believe in everybody brings in 100% to relationship. People say 50-50. No, you bring 100 and 100. If you bring 100, that's you do the best you can do. But if you bring 50%, what is that other 50% you bring it in? Where does it go? So you have to bring that together and make the relationship more cohesive when it comes to partnership.
Right.
And I don't see a lot of partnerships anymore in relationship. It's really hard to find people who are partners. And if you don't have a partner, you're behind already.
And you start measuring, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you
That's
start
exactly.
measuring it and the resentment.
Which leads into my next question, like literally leads right into
See?
stay-at-home dads, right? He just talked about putting certain roles on certain people. Like if I'm in this, and let's say I'm impaired and I can't really do a certain type of work,
Right.
and you have to go to work and I have to take care of everything else. I'm not gonna sit there and be like, oh, I'm not supposed to do that. Now we're partners. Like if we're on a team and my partner is down, I got to pick up the slack.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That's how sports is so important to every aspect of life.
Exactly.
Because you need your team members to be on the same page with you.
Mm-hmm.
So if let's say for instance, I'm in a relationship and I get sick, I need somebody who can pick up the slack and I take over this side of what they do at home. And it's just a partnership.
Yeah.
You do what is required.
What is required, exactly.
So what do you guys think about the stay-at-home dad thing?
I don't see anything wrong with it, but again, I don't look at value or like value. I won't say masculinity. You know what? You made a good point.
Yeah.
I'm taking that out of my vocabulary now.
Yeah.
So I don't look at like a man's value as like money or like what he brings in, what he does. There's so many different aspects to bringing it to the table, and for me, if you in a situation where you happen to be a stay-at-home dad and everyone's happy, everyone's working cohesively, the baby is developing and a lovely family, then who cares? Like, I think it's just like measuring and like social media and putting a title like you said. So,
And I think I have no problem with it. I love being at home with my son. I love making him grow. I love to watch him, play sports. I love that. Then I also like to make sure my wife is happy when she comes home. If I'm working from home that day or whatever, I just think you have to think of it as a way of outside of your door in your home. That's like a battlefield.
That is a problem.
And when a person come back from that battle, they need to feel like they don't have to battle in their home. So if you're at home all day, you make sure they feel good. You bring, whatever it may be, make that comfort for them. And the minute that you go out, they should do the same thing. But the minute that you start forgetting about that as a partner, and they come home and you're just mad about something, but that's a battle they don't need and you don't need, and that just messes up a relationship. So I think I have no problem with it.
I think the outside influence really is the real problem. You in the house don't have a problem with it, but once your friends come over and be like, "Oh, it's a stay-at-home dad," and they start giving you that side eye, you're like, "Okay," now it starts to become a thought in your head, like now it's a problem. So I think once you learn how to block out all that noise and you keep that everything inside between both of y'all, like nothing else matters, then it makes every situation easier to deal with.
100%.
So what about therapy? Did you guys do premarital therapy?
No, I have my family for that. No, I don't. We didn't do any of that.
Okay.
We really spent a lot of time listening to each other in the middle of traveling. And if we, like you say, we see red flags or we think it's red flags, we would we just sit down and we talk about it. Sure. You stop what you're doing and you just talk about it, and allow that person to express their feelings, their concerns, and you do it with no judgment. And I think that's, to us, help our therapy a lot. If we needed therapy, we definitely both took it either individually or as a couple, because sometimes you don't need a couples therapist to fix yourself, because most all problems happen in here first. If you can't accept how someone else is, dealing with you, sometimes you got to look at yourself first, and then you'll be able to understand that person may be just doing the right thing and you're just taking it wrong. So, but no, I do couples therapy beforehand.
Okay.
We did well, not marital therapy, marital therapy,
Premarital.
premarital therapy. We're both believers, so we did it through the church. Turns out we didn't need it, so ended up being like sessions of just like connecting and bonding with the pastor, and the pastor became like a friend of ours and like
Yeah.
followed our marriage. She came to the wedding. She's like sent me pictures of the baby, and it was so funny because when we were going through, there's like a little booklet that you kind of go through, and she would say, answer these questions separately, and when you come back, and da 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 da. And so we answered it, and like the session's supposed to be for like an hour and a half. So she's going over the answers, and she's like, all right, so y'all want to, it's been 20 minutes. This is what we have for tonight. Come back to next.
Right.
So it was reassuring for me, but I didn't have any. I had no like questions or anything. We just kind of did it just to keep the tradition going, to respect our family. They didn't ask us to do therapy, but we just was like, I asked her what she thought about it, and she was like, I was thinking about it. I was like, bet, let's do it. And then when it turned out so great, it was like, bet, let's do it.
What about personal therapy?
I've never did therapy. But,
We know that. We talked about
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
But I do believe in it. I do.
Yeah.
I tell my patients to do it all the time. I just am so grateful that I met her at the time I did, because like 22-year-old Chris, 27-year-old Chris, and then 30s is three different people, right? So just like I said, timing was everything.
What about you?
Yeah, I did it, but because I think everyone has baggage from their
I
past.
think so too.
So I did it and for myself and my, the past things I had in my life with my family. So I didn't want that to spill over into my relationship, and I didn't want any displaced anger or, her to believe that any actions I do may cause something. So
Right.
I went to it for myself. And then when I got home, I explained it to her or talked to her. And then I said, if you want to come to it, you can. And I was not afraid to say what I needed to say in front of her either.
So this is a real question. Are there? I think everybody has things that they just won't repeat to anybody, or you won't even tell your wife. I think everybody has. It's not really a secret, but something personal that you probably won't tell somebody else, whether your wife or your friends or whatever. But I think therapy is that place where you can go and be completely vulnerable and say all those things that's in the back of your head that you might have thought that you think this would be stupid to say. You know what I'm saying? And when I went to therapy, I said everything.
That's why it made me feel good, because I spoke everything and it's just like a weight lifted off,
Right.
because you have someone that's not going to judge you. You're paying somebody not to judge you, because
Right.
really they don't care.
Exactly.
They're doing a job. So
I'm hyper I won't say hyper vocal, but I come from a family that like we talk about it, like we talk about it at dinner table kind of thing. So but I do believe in therapy, and I think that I did go through a period in my life before I met my wife where I was soul searching as far as like entrepreneurship, being successful, and things like that. So I kind of went through that transition period before her. So I think that was my therapy as well. So
Okay. So what would you guys say is how would you to keep a healthy marriage? Like, what would you guys say like the top 3 things is to keep your marriage healthy?
Let's go top 5.
And also, do you believe in happy wife, happy life?
all right, I'm gonna answer. I go first.
Okay.
Yes,
Don't
I
get me
do
in trouble.
believe in. I do believe in happy wife, happy life.
Okay.
That's 100%. Only because I think men get over things a lot easier than women. So we don't usually hold grudges when it comes to our women in our lives, mothers, sisters, aunts, grandmothers. Yes, I believe in that.
Okay.
Number 1 is communication. 2 is honesty. 3 is I'm gonna use the word being masculine. At that point, being the strong one.
Okay.
Strength.
Okay.
And family. That's how we go there.
Okay. All right.
I believe in happy wife, happy life. I believe communication. I believe I think there should be like an open dialogue, like a safe place. Like, all right, this is a time that you could just say whatever that you feeling, and we both have no
I like that.
reaction. I believe in dating your wife,
Yes.
where you make sure you guys dress up and have a good time and like remember the times because
Yes.
with babies and
Yeah.
business
Yes.
and just the world, the battlefield.
Yeah.
Yeah, you forget, man. You forget, and I believe. What else I believe in? I believe in time apart.
Oh,
I believe,
okay.
having like separate identities
I like that.
outside of the, and not like separate identities like you're a second person because that's a whole problem.
Yeah.
But like identities where you could go be with your friends and then we come back together or be with your family or
Individuality.
yeah, individuality, because sometimes you see people caught up in like their relationship and like
Yeah.
I'm Mrs. such and such or Mr. such and such and like, bro, we used to play basketball. What happened to you,
Yeah.
bro?
Yeah.
Like, nah, I'm going to the park to play ball.
I like
Right.
that. That's very important. That's very
I'm gonna
important.
go out there and cuss out somebody. She's like, did you cuss them out? Like, like that's not what you
I have
are.
an interesting question because a lot of the times, this is a topic of discussion through a lot of podcasts and just people in general. Do you believe like everything is connected, right? As far as you having your wife and because that's the person that's going to be there with you to the end, right? When you go into it. So a lot of men will try to say, well, I don't have my business the way it is. I don't have this the way it needs to be. I don't have that. And I think that sometimes that's a, what's the word where you say like it's kind of like an excuse sometimes. Because I think that once you find your person that they're going to add to everything that you do when it comes to business, when it comes to any type of other relationship. So do you believe that is the one of the main goals to achieve is to find your person?
So
Can I go a little bit before you?
go ahead, because I like that question a lot.
So like we said earlier, sometimes it's not really an excuse. Most times it's about us having that instinct of always want to provide and always wanting to be the man in the situation. That is our natural instinct. It's not like something that somebody tells you need to be. You have that feeling. You were born with that. If you were growing up and somebody says something out of line to your mother, your first instinct is to protect that or protect them. If you're the older brother, your instinct is to protect everybody. You know what I'm saying? If you're even the younger brother and you have older sisters, you're the protector of all of them older sisters. So that is your natural instinct. It's not like he's getting up and saying, you know what, today I'm not going to care about that because somebody told me to. It's in you to be that.
I get that, but I think after a certain age, right, when everyone's an adult, when everyone's grown, you guys go ahead.
Go ahead. I would say, all right, so how do I say this? All right, so when you're dating, right, when you think that you want to be married, right, you got a date with like purpose, and I think that a lot of men do use that as a cop out because they didn't want to be with the person long term, and so they knew that was the PC answer. But when a man is really trying to get married or take it to the next level, and he's in his grind phase, sometimes that is not the right time to settle down, or he can't provide that lifestyle or that I won't say provide a lifestyle, but he can't provide that life that he wants,
that he sees himself
in. But if he's telling you that and not making any steps, it's just like, all right, so you need to take the hint.
Yeah.
He didn't really want to be with me like that, for real. But as a man, like looking back at it, I couldn't take a lot of those people serious because I wasn't where I needed to be, or I didn't feel comfortable to providing. And not when I say providing, I mean just necessary, like having me on solid ground to then bring someone else in anyway.
So did you meet your wife when your career took off, or?
No, I went through this like a whole entrepreneurial growth, and then we met. We were dating, and she was like inputting. She was I won't say building me up, but like we were looking for office space together. Like she was like she's reading the lease. We're not married.
She helped like kind of
she held it down, and then like
that's what I'm saying.
But I was already in that phase. Like it didn't have to be like I'm dating you. What is it? Oh, let me get myself together. It was like I was getting myself together, and then I see you coming with me, and I'm like, I'm gonna run a little faster. You're like, oh, you still there, like So it it was just only right at the time. But I do, so I'm torn because I do think that men have this thing where they have to get to a certain point in their life to be prepared for marriage. But I also think that we use it as a cop out because we really didn't want to marry you in the first place, but we just know that that's gonna give us six months to a year longer to be like, all right.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna take it from a different perspective because I was older when I did this. So I had a career prior, and then I shifted after I got a divorce and I got married again. I found that women are very good at focusing on what they think that you are lacking after watching you for a while. Men, we have a harder time seeing that when we're in the action of doing. So my wife brought a lot of perspective to what I was doing and helped me focalize what I was doing to build the career I'm at right now. And I'm in IT. I've been doing it for almost 30 years now. And she actually helped me come from this, jump a big level up and now. So I think it's really beneficial to have that drive. But like you said, I agree with you. If you don't have that drive from the beginning, or if you're in the middle of that drive and that woman comes in and tries to adjust that, it really kind of throws you off because now you're trying to guide me when I should be guiding myself, and you should help follow or push or be side by side with me. And I think exactly. And so if you mess up, if you come in at the wrong time, you can mess that all up. And I think that man will see it. And he's going to see you as a threat or something that's hindering him from doing what he wants to do. Women have a tendency to want to have you to do what they want you to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, for a lot of people, I've read in a lot of blogs and all these things. I don't know how true they are. When it comes to divorce, a lot of times finances is in the middle of that. Finances is a major factor in divorce. So what do you guys think about having like separate bank accounts and getting the affairs in order by having separate bank accounts? You have your own, she has her own, then you have one that pays the bill.
I go because we have that 100%. You have to have individuality before you can be a couple. And that happens to be with finances too. We have a family account. We have an individual account, which I say is my play account, whatever I want to do with it. She does not question that account. She does not look in that account. The money that's in there is my money. If I happen to need to help something out and I have the money in that account, I'll help. But if I don't, she's like, well, okay, we'll move around, whatever we need to do. So I think it's very important, but it could be very dangerous in the wrong hands.
Yeah. We have separate accounts as well, and then we have one joint account. I did learn something during the marriage counseling, and it was that I learned that women have that safety nest egg account that nobody knows about.
Exactly.
That if something goes wrong, me and my baby will be all right. So I did learn that.
They good at that.
Yeah, I did learn that in marriage counseling. But I think that finances, again, you have to be honest and open with your partner and yourself, right? So if you're dictating this type of lifestyle, which a lot of women and men come, I don't want to bash women. So a lot of women and men come into relationships with this idea of what their ideal lifestyle is, and you can't support your lifestyle, then you either have to be honest with yourself. And I think that divorcing over finance, I think that a lot of couples don't like self-assess and couple assess, and a lot of times when you look back at it, it's not about finance, but the finance was the easiest target, easiest target to be like. And a matter of fact, you because that, and you can tell your aunt that, you can tell your best friend that, you can tell your hairstylist that, and everybody like, girl, or guy.
Everybody know about the money.
Yeah. But really and truly, it was something way deeper, or something that could have been worked on, but you didn't want to work on it. You wanted to just out on the situation.
I still think we still have to be mindful of each other's spending habits and stuff like that, because then, let's say we're married, you over here buying these lavish cars and all these things, you still have a life to build together. You know what I'm saying? Your spending habits are terrible.
Yeah.
But even though we have the joint bank account and it's paying all the bills, still we're building something. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I still think it's important where even though you have separate bank accounts, you still have to pay attention to how each other spend money and live certain type of lifestyle.
You remember that list that you said was short for men? That's supposed to be on the list. When you dating and you looking for a spouse or a mate, that need to be, their spending habit needs to be on the list.
Mine is the credit score.
I don't even know.
Has to be on that.
I got the credit score. Don't worry about that. How do you say that? Like, how are you taking care of what you have now? Or like, you want bigger, you want better, you want all this, but you know, you're 50,000. Like, what are you doing with that?
Yeah.
That's like disrespect. But you know what I mean. So that was on my list. That was a priority for me, and just to see. And turns out that, you know, I used to be called cheap and blah blah blah, and now I'm doing things for my wife that I never would even dream of doing. You know what I mean? And like, I want to say spending. I don't even see it as spending, but like doing these things for her. And like, I tell my homeboy, he's like, "What? You did that?" I'm like, I don't know, man. It feels good, bro. You know, like, can you imagine? You know, so it turns into this thing where, like, when you're pouring into each other, you're doing things that you wouldn't even imagine. And like, and I'm just like, dang, I didn't even. It's a price, not even. Once you get to a certain level, you're not even look at the price. You're like, I want her to have this experience, or I want her to be able to walk in with her homegirls and have this certain thing, and like, she take the room down, and you figure out a way to get it there. But again, you have to have like our base is our base, our savings is our savings, our you know our rainy days are rainy days. Yeah. So we're on the same accord. But yeah,
I think we're probably gonna make this our last question, because I think this one is gonna have a lot of opinions behind it. So disagreements is the thing. Arguments and disagreements, right? How do you guys go about dealing with that? Because with women, it's a lot different from how men deal with arguments and disagreements.
Correct.
Especially in marriages, you guys can expound on that, but in little relationships, it just goes too far sometimes. Yeah. So how do you guys deal with like disagreements on a daily?
I think it has to be talked about while dating, and like there has to be some lines drawn in the sand, man. It starts with respect and love, right? Because if you love that person, there's certain things that doesn't come out your mouth, or the actions, and I expect, well, we're mature enough as adults to be like, all right, even if you need to take a step back, take a step back, because
it's important.
I can't remember the last argument.
That's great,
but
that is amazing.
But like, you know, like, it never gets to a level because one, we're both comfortable who we are. We're not attacking. You know, mistakes are made. I probably messed up, and let's figure out how to fix it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't play that. Even while dating, I didn't take that abusive language and like violence, nothing like that. Because
you know, you made a point just now. Like every time I date somebody, I use this analogy. I'm like, when you respect somebody, first of all, you don't call them out their name.
Nope.
Never do.
Never.
Like, you don't use certain type of language, aggressive language where you're cussing and you're carrying on. The shouting, especially in public, like certain physical actions, you don't try to hurt a person physically. Like, I say this, if you threaten me, like, to hurt me physically, like, right there, I'm going to draw a line. Like, we can't go forward from there. Yeah. You call me out my name, that means you don't respect me, because for us as Caribbean people, we know you can't cuss in front of your parents, no matter how old you get. That's respect, right? You're not going to talk to your parents a certain way because that's respect. That's how I explain the respect you're supposed to have for each other. Because I'm not going to call you out your name. I'm not going to cuss at you. You know.
And we don't take it out the house either.
Exactly.
That's all I'm
so that's how I explain respect when I explain it to a woman. Is like, that's the same respect I want to give you when you give me. Because if you talk on me nigga and all these things, then now we're out of the bounds of that.
Yeah, I'm like that. I don't. First of all, I haven't used profanity. I don't curse, and if I do, it's around guys, and then it's rare. You know, if somebody hear me curse, a lot of people like, you know, look at me like, you cursing? So, but I do agree with the major things that I have a problem with is arguing out in public. I don't like that. I don't like to air my clothes out, my dirty underwear out outside the house. Second is I want to be able to communicate and be able to walk away if I feel that it's starting to escalate and it's not de-escalating in the way it should be. And I'll respect her space and being able to say, okay, I could be wrong. Let's talk about it and see. Maybe I missed it somewhere. Maybe the communication got mixed up from your mouth or from my ears, somewhere in between or after that. So I think those are important. And like you, I can't remember the last argument. If it was, it had to be about my son. So
Do you guys believe in like not going to bed, man?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I've. Okay, I'm gonna say this. Let me correct that statement. I have stayed up many a nights on the computer, just sitting there like fuming, and then, but during that time, I'm thinking about what has been said, what I might have said, how I might have triggered it more, and then I don't try to judge what she said until we talk about it again, because once again, it's how I heard it. It's not how she said it. So I try not to go to bed mad, but it's happened.
Yeah.
And I won't say mad. We have not been happy with each other at that point.
Do you guys you guys never like separate?
No, we don't. No,
Good.
no.
Okay.
We might put a pillow in between.
Yeah.
And we might turn your back
Right.
and put the blanket over
Right.
it. But she
No,
still like
she
she's
not
cold.
She's not snoring out tonight. You
Oh, you do that. Oh, you do that foot on the leg. Everybody not sleeping tonight. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. We don't.
Okay.
I never grew up in. I had my mother and my father in my life. We grew together. I never seen my father on the couch or anything like that. So it's just not common for me.
I think in the dating stage, you can't let certain things slide. I think, but a lot of times, if you have somebody that's gonna get you to a certain level of, you're gonna get that angry that you're gonna punch a wall or do something, like you need to get far away from that person. If they're gonna get you to that level. That's what I think. That's a sign to just go the other direction.
You know what's really weird? I saw you getting ready to say something. But some people, and a lot of people, and I'm older, I say a lot of the younger generation see that as excitement.
You're right.
And it's like, I'm not calling you many bitches and hold up. I can't do that.
Yeah.
So I can't disrespect you, but some women like that fight and some men like that.
That's
And it's
trauma.
very toxic. Exactly.
Yeah,
But that's that therapy.
It's
That's
misguided.
Yes.
Attraction, I guess, or
yeah.
lust. It's
No,
misguided lust.
Yeah, I would go with lust.
I was
He's so
gonna
strong. He's so masculine.
Yeah.
That word.
It's misguided
Word.
lust. And I was gonna say this to end. I don't know if you ended, but
Oh, we got one more question for you guys.
Okay.
when people show you who they are, believe it.
Believe it. Right.
That's it.
From the beginning, believe it.
And I wish I did that earlier. You know? But it's like, you're like, nah, but she ain't really.
Yeah.
Oh, did she? Oh, man, I understand because her mom used to be like this.
Yeah.
Stop making
Nah,
excuses.
when they show you who they are,
That's who they are.
believe
And
it.
I'm gonna say this, talking to like even this guy, I be in his office, like he's at work and I'm in the office and we talking for like however long. He got clients back there and we're still in there talking. Because talking to older guys as a younger guy, like people always say,
He done messed you up a little bit. It's all right though.
"Oh, you older than me."
I'm accepting it. I'm embracing mine.
He ain't up,
4
but
years.
he ain't up,
4
but
years,
you know, but
Yeah.
he's still a little older. So a lot of knowledge. You tell me about his experiences, and I learn from that.
Mm-hmm.
At the age of like 18, 17, I'm hanging with older, like my dad's friends, type of thing, where they're talking about experiences, and they don't hide that from us.
Nope.
Like I grew up in a shopping bar, where in the bar you're talking about everything. That's the type of environment I grew up in. Like I had many role models to look up to. So for me, at 15, 16, I could have grown people conversations. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you guys for always sharing knowledge and continuing to do so. But my last question is this.
Hold on, 1 second. Do you guys think it's important to have married friends, male friends, your married male friends to confide in at times? Or you guys, was there a difference with non-married male friends, you know, as when it came to that stuff?
My friend, one of my best friends, he got married while I was still dating.
Okay.
And so I don't know if his wife ain't like me, but he was still my best friend. So everyone developed such a different time that my friend is who my friend is. Like it doesn't project who I am. Even now, I go out with some of my single guy friends, but we just go out. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter. I think that you have to communicate with your wife more than anything, because how somebody else does it may not be how you do it. And I learned that from some of my married friends. I'm like, Oh, that's what y'all do? Okay.
I
All
was like,
right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter for me.
Yeah, to me, it doesn't matter. Like I said before in the beginning, that I'm not more of a best friend kind of guy. I don't have that connection with guys like that. I was raised, raised by the women in my family, and the guys, I had to protect the women from those guys. So I see that, and so if I see a guy who's a little shaky, but now I have a lot of male friends who are married. And single. So I
think a lot of guys don't have a mind of their own.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's hard when you go out with you're a married guy, go with a single guy.
Yeah, if he's a hoe, he's a hoe. I mean, I don't.
I would say this: some females who have single female friends. Sometimes I hear the stories come back, and I'm just like eyebrow raised.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Sounds like me.
Okay, all right.
Because sometimes they say
good.
that it can, if non-married friends can sometimes mess with your, as far as what they say to you. And obviously, you have to have a mind of your own.
I hate
Right.
to say this, but it's like more. That's like more of a female
thing.
female
Female
issue.
thing?
Yes,
Okay.
I would agree.
Okay.
And not in a bad way, but I think that's more of a female
Okay.
issue.
I'm gonna merge the two last
A big
questions
issue
together.
too.
Okay.
I'm gonna merge them together. So you're Caribbean, so you understand this question even more than anybody else. So in the Caribbean, right, the wife has to be able to cook, wash, clean, take care of the house, the kids, all these things, right? And most times, if the wife can't do that, your mom does not like her at all. So she's looking for that person that's just like her. Your mom is looking for somebody that's like her. So what do you guys think about your mom not liking? Would that damage the relationship if your mom don't like your girl you're dating or somebody you're going to propose to?
I think that's loaded. I think that when a man is ready to get married, him and his mom relationship has to be on a certain level. You cannot bring your mom into your marriage. One, two. For me, one of the tales was that I have a big family. My mom had like 11 brothers and sisters, like 6 or 7 of them live in South Florida.
Right.
And when my wife, who was my girlfriend and we were dating at the time, came to Thanksgiving, and she was able to mingle in like this sea of like noise and confusion of like Thanksgiving dinner, and like this person is doing this person's that, this person's playing with the kids. That's like, every Jamaican household, like music is blasting in that room. Yeah. And she was able to mingle. I was like, all right, well, she can survive this.
It's like a test.
I'll be back. And I left her in there like, I'll be back, But I don't care, man. If you can cook, clean, I don't care. Like if you could make me happy, you could help raise my kids, and we could grow together. Then that's whatever.
And for me, it's I'm from Texas, so everything you just said is the same thing from Texas.
Right.
My mother my first marriage was not no one liked her, but she was from Spain, so it was a whole different thing. Yeah, but my wife now, when we went to Texas, I took her to my aunt's house, and she was like, what we going to do? I'm going to my aunt's house, and we went and got tattoos together. So we got there, and next thing you know, we went to one house, and it was like nobody, and then 15 minutes later, everybody was there. She's like, did y'all set me up? But like you said, I left her there. I went to the, peeked at her. My aunt grabbed her, my cousin grabbed her, and she was, next thing I know, she came back, she fit right in. I was like,
that's it.
That's her. And my mom's like, I love her. And now I look at them together. I'm like, my God, is that your daughter? Because my mom and my wife were a lot alike, and that's really scary. And I didn't try to do that. It just happened. So second part.
In that situation, like that means that if you're a family man and you love your family, I think your wife has to fit in there somewhere, because you can't go to the family functions and she's off to the side, and that puts a dent.
And this is assuming that you don't have an overbearing mom.
That's
crossing boundaries.
I don't, but
that's crossing boundaries.
Oh yeah, for plenty of people.
And so Tyra didn't have to be that traditional.
No, she was already there.
Yeah. Okay.
They played spades, dominoes, everything, drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like she was right there.
I think I saw my wife like washing dishes or something. I'm like, hey, okay.
Yeah. Do you guys? Well, I'm sorry, we gotta end. But I'm sorry. Last question. Do you guys believe in having like a house person to help clean up, like that you hire to just kind of help take the
Like a
stress
maid?
off of?
I'm gonna
Yeah.
get one.
Yeah. Okay.
I need one.
Okay.
I have one.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
So it depends.
Okay.
I think it. Yeah.
All right, Shane, go ahead, close this out.
All right, guys. So we are getting into the next segment, which is the Stretches Corner.
Yeah, so we're sports guys. If you came here earlier, we were talking about it, but we're sports guys. So Ja Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies, he a year ago he had an incident, a pickup basketball game where he beat up a kid and pulled a gun on him. And then recently now, after the Pacers game, one of his friends pulled out a laser and pointed at a Pacers staff, and they were saying it was attached to a gun. And then after that, he went to the club, no shirt on, and flashing a gun in the camera in the snap, and posted it on the gram. And now they suspended him. So I really think they need to have a class for these guys when they're going to the NBA. I think they have it in the NFL, right? When they're going to the NBA, they teach you how to spend your money. You need the one for the type of woman not to date. You need one for the things you need to stay away from. Leave certain friends alone. Like stay out of certain circles. You're still trying to be gangster. You're a millionaire now. You don't need to be that no more. We trying to get out of this environment to be where you are, and you're trying to come back, even though you're already ahead. And that to me didn't make any damn sense. I still can't make no sense out of it. Because
That he got fired? That he got
No, he got suspended. Yeah, and his dad is in his life at all his games. So where does this come from? Like, I just don't get it.
I'm from. Okay, you go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't think he's intelligent.
That's-
I'm gonna leave it like that. He's 23. He's not 16. He's 23.
23, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I just. I'm sorry. I think that I don't know. Sometimes you have to have mentors that's been through it. Sometimes you have a father, uncle, who has never seen that much money, have never seen that much fame. They're just as excited as this guy. So whatever he starts messing up,
Right.
he's going to let it happen.
I think, because I'm very familiar with the story, and I just think that I hope that it doesn't get worse than this, because this is major. Traveling with a gun on a team bus to Denver, and then doing that right after you had those incidents. So, one time is a coincidence. 2 times is a little. 3 times, now we got to
Got a problem.
start questioning. So I hope he gets help. I hope he gets his mind corrected. And you can't have, like you said, can't have those yes guys around you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
gotta have
the
somebody-
yes man is the main problem.
Gotta have a grown up around.
mentorship is going to be important for him, because he is a good player. We want to support him. I was a big fan previous to all of this going on. He just signed with Nike. He just had his first shoe deal, and so it's just a lot of stuff that you look at it and you say, well, can I use that excuse? No,
Right.
you gotta answer and be like a man and step up and say, I messed up.
So do you think it's a case where, like, now that he's making so much money, his dad can't talk to him no more? Or, like, he's
I
too
agree.
big now for anybody at all?
No, egos get stronger with that money. I think money makes a big difference on an ego. And I think the father is just like any other person that's going to ride that train. They're going to keep going with
Money's
it.
coming in, so do whatever you want, type of thing.
I don't know the relationship, but I just hope that, man, because it happened already in the summertime, so it's not like this is fresh.
Right.
I'm not a big. I don't make a lot of excuses for self-inflicted wounds.
Exactly.
Right? So you're doing this to yourself. So you like.
Even with rappers, I say it all the time. If you're rolling with 10 or 20 people, if you're in trouble, somebody got to be willing to take a fall for that, because you're the breadwinner at that point. You know what I'm saying? If you're not supposed to be rolling with 20 people who ain't trying to get to nowhere. But if you are, at least 10 out of them 20 people should be able to want to take a charge for you.
That's what I tell about Michael Vick.
You know what I mean?
Dude, somebody got to say, that's my dog.
I think the crazy thing about it is that in this day and age, with these new upcoming football players, athletes, rappers, whatever, it's like they're not doing their research. That this is a cycle, right? It's like, why don't you guys learn from the previous people that come in and fumble, and you know what I'm saying? Like,
Because we have a tendency as young black men, we don't want to listen to our elders as we get older. So if we see a Michael Jordan or a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, all these older players that come out, first of all, they're going to say, you should already know this. And if you don't, I should be the one that have to tell you this. And if I do tell you this, you looking at me and talking, you going on Facebook or you going on all these different social media and talking bad about me as an old man.
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with that.
Right.
I got my own money. So I really think that's, to me, if I hear that, that's what, and I try to say something to you one time.
Yeah.
Right.
And I just don't want to lump him into like the whole like this is like he wasn't cultured or he had a hard upbringing and
Right.
this is what happens. This is not that story.
No.
Grew up in a 2-parent household. He went to private school. He, you know what I mean, that type of thing. So it's like
his real name is not John.
no.
Yeah,
So it's again, self-inflicted wounds. I do have sympathy because I think this doesn't define him. So we'll see what he does now.
No, his game don't fall off.
Well, no, I mean
Cooper.
personally though.
But personally,
This
he
doesn't
needs to
define
face
him.
that,
Let's see
yeah.
what he does next.
Well, he's being watched because my son, that was my son's favorite
But
character.
as a ball
Anymore.
player, though,
I was thinking about buying shoes.
as a ball player, I think he could probably speak to this. But sometimes when you play on a certain level, it's hard to turn that off. Sometimes, for some people, when you get to that aggressive, like he plays with an ego. He plays with a heavy ego. He talk crap to everybody. You don't care who it is.
It's not a good
So
person.
sometimes you gotta know how to turn that off.
Yeah.
I never seen Kobe with a gun.
Never. I didn't see that.
I never seen
Kobe's
Mike with a
ego
gun.
That's what I'm
like
saying. They don't look
different,
up at their. They don't look. They have look at their
And those are
favorite
two
players.
Dude, I played for
But you're
20
not gonna see
years, so
Kobe
I,
disrespecting certain people is what I'm saying, bro.
No,
Like,
they were.
they were going at it, but the disrespect that's not gonna happen.
They tried to put him up against Allen Iverson
Right.
and Gilbert Arenas, and Allen Iverson. That was him. He was in the DMV area. He was living that. I'm not sure if that's
That's not the
issue.
same thing.
You know what I'm saying? So it's hard for me to like give him an excuse. I wish him a success. I wish him to turn out better, and we'll see what he does from here.
All right. So we're gonna get into the last segment, which is the quote of the day, and today's quote of the day is, "I love you not only for what you are, but what I am when I'm with you."
I want to go first. Mike.
What?
So you, the quote, let's explain the quote and what it means to you.
I think
I
I'm
love you
saying
not
that,
for who you
Yeah.
are, but who I am when I'm with you.
because I same thing I've been saying the whole time is we together make each other stronger.
Stronger.
It's a team. So
Right.
Yeah.
Chris.
I just think that when you're a better person, when you are the best person around the person that you love, it just works out so much better.
I just think you have to always be with somebody who brings out the best in you.
Yeah.
Not
I like
only
that.
in a relationship, friendships,
Yes.
family.
Yes.
I agree.
Because for me, if you're not contributing in any way to my well-being, I don't need to be around you.
Around you. Yeah.
You know, I'm not being my best self. It's just like even the John Moran situation. His friends around him is supposed to not let him go down that road. He's not his best self with those people.
Yeah.
Now you got to find a new crowd to
Right.
be around.
Definitely.
So you have to find those people in your life, like the people you can pick up the phone and call and you feel better right away.
Mhm.
The people that give you advice, real advice, honest advice.
Yes.
People who want to help you out. Like I have people call me and be like, "Yo, I can't watch the podcast, but I just put it on the TV just so you can get that view."
Yeah.
Or I just play it in the background while I'm driving,
Yeah.
but I'm probably not listening, but it's still playing.
It's a
You're
support.
still gonna get. I'm gonna like
Support.
it,
Right.
even though I can't watch it. I'm gonna like that
Right,
the
right.
video. I'm gonna just leave a emoji on there,
Right.
just
Right.
so you can get on the algorithm. Whatever they do, like there's people there that just
It's gonna feed that.
Right.
And I agree with everybody. Moral of the story: add people to your life that's gonna fuel your energy and not drain it, and fuel everything else. Add positivity and all that stuff. So this is the end of the Students of Life podcast, and I thank you, gentlemen, for coming in and letting us know all this great information about having a healthy marriage. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, get into it, guys. And you have anything to say, Stretch?
yeah. If you have an opinion, leave it in the comment section. That's
Yeah.
When do we find Stretch Love, man? That's the next pod.
Yeah, Stretch, we gotta get you on the show or something.
my Cupid is not working right now.
Thank you, guys. We will see you all next week. Bye.